Good morning, everyone. It's Paula, and we're back to Tuesdays with Paula. The question I have for you this morning is, how skilled are you at crafting the words that create what you want? How intimate are you with the language that you use with yourself and with other people? The topic today is the power that we have that we don't use, our most unused power. And that is the power of our words. It's our language. And I know we've heard this forever, right? We hear it all the time for many, many years. Affirmations and self-talk, and much of the new personal work is based in the power of our words and our languaging. And I love that that's happened. And when we hear something over and over again, it becomes a cliche. And when it becomes a cliche, it loses the truth. And the very truth here is that everything begins with a word, because everything begins with a thought. And you can't have a thought without a word. You can have images, you can have visions, you can have a sense of something. But an actual thought begins with a word. In the Bible, for those of you that do consider the Bible a valid source, or if you don't consider it a valid source, it was an ancient text, and this demonstrates how ancient the concept is. Right? This message has been given to us probably since we became a species, because it is our greatest power. In the Bible, the very first sentence, in the beginning there was the Word. In the beginning of every thought, there is a word. And depending on what you want to create and what thought it is that you want to use to create that thing that you want, you choose your words. All right, let's get it down to real clear and simple terms so that we can start moving out of this world of cliche, right, and really bring it home. Because when we have space between ourselves and a truth, we can look at it and say, yeah, that's true. You know, we've got, it makes sense, I believe that, but it's still not internalized. It's out there. It's something you read about or you hear people say, and you try a little bit. There are a lot of people that are listening right now that say, oh, I'm great with my words. I'm really careful with my self-talk, and I use affirmations all the time. However, that's not as true as we think it is. Because often we're tuned into the word on a mental, intellectual level, rather than being sensitive to the vibration of it. That's why words are so important. Abracadabra. That's an Aramaic term. And it translates into English, it translates into, as I speak, so I create. As I speak, so I create. And when we create, it's not simply the mental, intellectual understanding of the use of our words, but it's a vibration. Everything comes back to a vibration. I'm going to tell you a story, by the way, before we finish up today, that has a lot to do with words and thoughts and creation. It's a personal story. So abracadabra. When we think of it, we think of magic, and we think of something that has just happened kind of miraculously. And it's abracadabra. It just came out of the clear. Well, it actually came from the use of words that had certain vibration. Words will emanate a vibration. And that vibration will trigger in the neural pathways. This is very much a brain activity as well as all the other things that I talk about. It will trigger a vibration that triggers a thought process in the brain that takes us down a particular neural pathway. In Rapid Eye, I am a master Rapid Eye technician. And in Rapid Eye, while we are using the eye work, we're also reading from scripts. We're using very specific words that will, through the auditory input, trigger a neural pathway that has a particular thought pattern on it. So when you use a word, let's say you use the word grateful. It's a great word, right? We're always talking about how we should use the word grateful and how that raises our vibration. And of course it does. And if you feel it, you feel into the word grateful, and then feel into the word appreciation. Feel appreciation. I so appreciate that I have this device in front of me that's working, and that I get to listen to this. I'm grateful for this device. Can you feel the difference? So this is where the power begins, and we talked last time about mastery, right? We begin to master our world when we master the frequency and vibration that we create. And the difference between words, as subtle as it can be extremely important in what you create. So appreciation is pretty clean. I don't sense any kind of contrast, any kind of, yeah, but. Appreciation is just pure appreciation. When we say grateful, within the words of grateful, there is that unspoken, unseen suggestion of lack. Gee, I'm sure grateful my computer's working today, because yesterday it was broken. I'm sure grateful I have hot running water, because I know some people in the world don't. Or last week my plumbing was broken. There's the insidious suggestion of lack. So there's a yeah, but. And it's still a wonderful word. I'm not saying don't use grateful. I use it all the time. However, honing in, using this unused power, honing in on the difference how one word feels and another word feels vibrationally can make a world of difference in the outcome, in what it is that ripple effect goes out and creates for you and for others. And this is true when you're speaking to yourself as well as others. Now, in my practice, we do some word crafting. And what I mean by that is not that we spend a lot of time going over, the English language. We tune in to the feeling of a particular word. So if someone is working on, they come in and say they're really worried about their finances. We work with worry, and we clear that a little bit, and then we talk about fear. There's a difference between fear and worry, just in the vibration of the word. And we'll go through that often, and then we look at the positives. All right. So if someone wants to be confident, we feel the word confident, and then we feel the word empowered. Which one resonates better? There's no right or wrong, and it's entirely up to what your experience is with the word. And I now find my clients starting mid-sentence to kind of stop themselves and make a correction. Finding a word, and it becomes easier and easier. You immediately know, you feel a word as you're speaking it, and you can correct it in the moment and reach for a word that feels better, which then, of course, allows you to reach for a thought that feels better, that then allows a creation that feels better to begin to come into being. It's fun. It's actually a very fun practice. And again, it's among, for me, the three most important powers that we've been given as human beings. You know, that divine part of ourselves, that spark of divinity that we all are, has an infinite ability to create and lots of power that we've just begun to tap into. And this is one of them. Really getting sensitive to the words. Not just mentally thinking, oh, that wasn't a good word, or oh, this is a better word, but actually feeling it, because in every moment that could change. Where you're vibrating right now, there's a particular word that's going to make you feel better. Where a couple of hours from now, that same word may not have an effect. So one of the beauties in learning how to hone into the sensitivity of how words make you feel is that it also increases the intuition. I notice that my clients begin to have a really rapid increase in their intuitive abilities. And they just love it. You know, it's so fun. They come back every week and tell me about all these synchronicities and these insights and how they just knew this and how they understood that in a way that they never did before. And it begins by the simple act of becoming sensitive to how something feels. And I'm going to go back to what we talked about last week, left brain, right brain. Right? It's a bit of a difference between that left brain and right brain. The left brain's going to intellectualize it and say, oh, no, the word fear is better to use here. No, the word joy is better. But that right brain, that part of you that's connected to the bigger picture, that is more tuned into the higher vibratory frequencies, is going to say, no, this word feels better, though. So the more that right brain has equal say in things, the more you'll be able to start noticing how words feel. Okay. Abracadabra. As I speak, so I create. We have come to a place in our development now where we're beyond the kindergarten and maybe even the elementary stages, I think we're starting to move into graduate school in our learning of how to use the powers that we have. And in the beginning, it was important to just recognize, okay, I have to be careful about what I say. Now we're at a place where we can actually start to tune in to the deeper feelings and sensations and vibrations of the words that we use and the language. In the beginning, there was the word. Notice when you are suddenly in a funk. A couple hours ago, I felt great. Now I feel like this. How come? And start to trace it back. Trace it back to when you maybe said something that would have triggered a neural pathway, that would have taken you down a thought process, a thought pattern that associated with an old memory that didn't feel very good. Or whatever it might be. If you start noticing, or even feel great, God, I feel so good. How come I feel great? And you trace it back to where it started. It might very well be that someone just said something, and the vibration of that word to you just said to you, wow, you look beautiful today. And that was enough to start a whole vibratory frequency in you that raised how you feel. So being aware and conscious of our words is more of a practice than I think we've been taught that it is. And of course we forget it. That's the key, right? Is remembering it. That's that piece of mastery we talked about last week. Remembering in those moments when it's the most difficult, when our feelings want to master us, those are the moments when we tune in and take command of our power to choose the word that has a higher frequency, that will trigger the thought pattern that has a higher frequency, that will affect the outcome that we're experiencing in the moment. Abracadabra. As I speak, so I create. This goes far beyond affirmations. Affirmations helped us when we were in kindergarten. We needed it. But now it's more than simply affirming. It's really being ready on a vibrational level to choose the words that we're able to accept and internalize on a level that will allow us to become more of who we are. Where was I just going to go? I wanted to say something important. It came and went. Okay, it'll come back if it's important. I did want to ask about last week. Are there any of you out there? Please let me know. Send me some messages. Hi, Tori. Have you been doing your left brain, right brain work? Right? Because that is part of the basis of a lot of the things we'll be talking about, even this, about learning how to tune into the sensation of words. The more we do that left-right brain activity, the more we get those two hemispheres working together, the greater our attunement to vibration becomes. And the story that I'd like to tell you is one about myself, how I became a rapid eye technician. It's about 20 years ago. I was working for Stephen Covey. I was selling his personal coaching package. In fact, I was one of the sales managers. And it was wonderful work. I loved it, making tons of money, 6 figures, and I was helping people change their lives through the power of words. This was all done by phone. Right? And so being able to tune into the vibration of the other person and focus in on where they were at and match my words to where they were so that it would help them be able to see a bigger picture is what made me one of the most successful salespeople on the floor and became a trainer and manager. And so I heard about somebody called Carol Tuttle during those days. I was always open to any personal development, anything that would help grow me. And someone told me about rapid eye technology and this woman called Carol Tuttle. Now, a lot of you reading or watching may know Carol. She's very well known as a teacher. She's not only does she do rapid eye now, but a number of other things. Anyway, I heard about Carol and I went for my sessions. I said, I want to check this out. And I started my rapid eye work. And the third, maybe fourth session, I was deep into a session and I heard words. I didn't get a feeling. I didn't get an image. I heard very specific words. And the words were, it was like a download coming right into my little computer system here. This is one of those things you came here to do. Clear. And I told Carol, and she kind of laughed. She said, yeah, I've actually had that thought about you already. I was wondering if it would come to you. And so I knew that was my new next thing. And I immediately began the process of creating that easy and organic unfoldment of the destiny that I was just told to follow. And I had, previous to that, by the way, I'd been doing quite a lot of work with light, of just asking, what's my next service in light? As much as I loved my job, I knew there was another calling. I could hear another calling. And I just kept asking, okay, show me, what's my next movement? What's the next opportunity for the light to shine through me the most greatly, the most powerfully? Okay, put me wherever that is. And so when this answer came, it was clear that it was an answer to what I'd been asking. Okay, what's the next thing? And I decided that I wanted to get laid off from the job so that I get a severance. I wanted, hi James, I wanted a severance. I wanted to be able to collect unemployment. And so I went about my business of getting my training, studied my rapid eye work, went to the training, got certified, and probably a month within getting my certification, our department got bought out by another company, and they were downsizing the management, so they had to let a manager go. And guess who? So I was able to leave with my severance, collected my unemployment, opened my office, and I sat there and saw people flooding in. I didn't do any kind of marketing. I just put the word out. Here I am to serve the light. Here I am to help people become who they came here to be. Because that's what Rapid Eye does. And I was thriving. I had a thriving practice. And it has been ever since. So that experience and that story, I love for a lot of reasons. Number one is because passion can fire the creative process in a way that things work out how we couldn't even imagine. I had no idea how I was going to get the severance pay and the unemployment, right? There it happened. And the timing was pretty impeccable, right after I got my certification. And it began with a word. Well, a few words. It began with that sentence, this is the next thing you came here to do. But even before that, it began with the words. Me simply asking, not trying to figure out how. That's a big part of the process. When we use our words, watch things like why, and why, especially a big one. Why takes us right into the left brain trying to figure it out. So my words were, okay, here I am, ready for my next thing. How's it going to come? And I spent quite a bit of time vibrating into that, just feeling the excitement, feeling myself expanding into what my next thing could be, feeling myself more and more attuned with the power that comes from above right into us. That's where our power comes from. We ground into the earth, but the power that allows us to use these tools, that allows us to use our magnificence, like this proper use of words, comes from the source above. And I spent a lot of time just tuning. Okay, put me where you want me to be, and I'm speaking to my highest self, to what I consider source. Put me where you want me to be so that the most light and the most power, the most fun can be expressed through me. Those words for me still carry a very, very high vibration. And so things happen when I use them. Okay. That's it for today. I'm going to leave you with the word power. Use this week to define and hone in what true power means to you, authentic power. The power to enjoy your life. The power to be more happy. The power to just be. Okay. Thank you very much. And I hope to hear from all of you. I'd like you to continue writing in and letting me know how your experiences are with some of these things. Continue your left brain, right brain, see how that works, and start to hone in on how your words feel. Abracadabra. When I got that job, that was a big when I got the severance pay and the unemployment that I asked for, when I was able to move out of there and start my practice, that was a big abracadabra. So remember this week your power. As I speak, so I create. Take a moment to feel how specific words feel for you and see what happens. Okay, see you next Tuesday. And by the way, I will be having a special edition with Reagan Archibald from East West Acupuncture. We'll be talking. Reagan is pretty amazing. He's quite an expert on how stress affects the physical body and how to prevent that and overcome that. And create a body, a physical state of being that allows you to feel your power and to be in your power. He's quite amazing. So look for the special edition of Tuesdays with Paula with Reagan. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. Let me hear from you. I want to know how things are going. Bye-bye.